when Star Wars ruled the world.
The day it was released was a Wednesday, May 25th.
My aunt decided to take a whole bunch of us out to the movies to see this new thing, Star Wars.
I brought my kid, he was about 12 years old, and suddenly the film starts, and every kid in the audience started screaming.
All of a sudden, you just get this explosion of music. And you see the credits crawling up the screen. It was like every Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers episode that I'd ever seen on television, 100-fold. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, and Princess Leia trying to wrest the galaxy from the forces of evil.
I remember, sitting in the first scene, and this giant spaceship comes in, flies over the audience. I had never seen anything in a movie, anything like that.
The biggest shock to me was the score.
John Williams' music, it's something that stays with you forever.
I had conversations with George that the music shouldn't be futuristic. The music should be emotional and heroic and even imperial in some cases.
Darth Vader, definitely one of the more menacing, more intimidating movie villains that's ever been created.
The creation of that costume and so on is so unique and so powerful.
You have to credit to the voice of James Earl Jones, who has such a commanding voice.
Where are those transmissions you intercepted? What have you done with those plans?
And you also have to give it up for the breathing, which is impossible to duplicate on the playground. So you couldn't be like, Luke, I'm coming for you.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Enough of this. Vader, release him.
As you wish.
I was going to marry Luke Skywalker. He was truly the love of my life.
He was a wide-eyed innocent, and here he finds this spiritual mentor in Obi-Wan.
What is it? Your father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster.
The lightsaber was a fantastic invention. Just the idea of turning something on and a sword emerges, and it's a laser sword.
Well, the first time I saw the lightsaber, I was very disappointed because it was a handle with batteries in it with wires, and they'd come in and put a pole on it. Very unimpressive.
That one.
Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him.
Well, the concept of the Force is religion's greatest hits.
I thought the Force was very mysterious. It was a kind of a magical, mystical type of a power that you could summon up and use to control things.
Let me see your identification.
You don't need to see his identification.
We don't need to see his identification.
But yeah, I tried using it on my parents when I wanted some sweets, but it never worked.
The Force can have a strong influence on the weak-minded.
Do you really think we're going to find a pilot here that'll take us to Alderaan?
Han Solo. I'm captain of the Millennium Falcon.
What a piece of junk.
I kept telling George it would be a real good idea if I could get into the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon before it was finished. And when we finally did, I turned to George and said, okay, now, how do you drive this thing? And it became immediately clear that no one had thought about how you drive it. And George said, well, you just throw switches and stuff like that,
Short for a stormtrooper?
Princess Leia was really a woman ahead of her time. She wasn't afraid, and she was intelligent.
The character was not ever written as a damsel in distress.
I don't know who you are or where you came from. But from now on, you do as I tell you, okay?
I don't think anybody can forget Princess Leia's hairdo, the buns.
When they tried that hairstyle on me, George said, well, you like it? And I said, I think it's fantastic. I thought it was terrible.
Mark Hamill's haircut is even worse than Princess Leia's, I think.
There wasn't anything you could have done.
Come on, buddy, we're not out of this yet.
All pilots to your station. Luke, the Force will be with you.
The whole final battle with the Death Star knocked us all out, you know, and I thought that was a great scene.
The science of that movie doesn't really hold up to much scrutiny.
A small one-man fighter should be able to penetrate the outer defense.
You know, it's just like you gotta aim for this little shaft they left in the Death Star that apparently could destroy the whole thing. Shoot there. Han gets a medal. And Luke gets a medal. Chewie's just like, they're like, don't give the dog anything. Which is kind of insulting because, you know, he did risk his life as well.
How many dogs can actually drive the family car?
Nobody ever explained to me why I didn't get that medal.
Maybe they thought he'd eat it or something.
But if you notice, he gets the last line in the movie.
After I came out of that movie theater, it was incredible. I wanted to be Luke Skywalker. I wanted to fly an X-Wing. I wanted to have a lightsaber and battle Darth Vader. I was hooked.
Then I went home that evening and told my mum about the movie, and you know, it took me sort of 2 hours to tell her the story because there was so much. My head was full of it, and so it had a huge impact on me.
The television news every night was talking about people standing in line to see Star Wars for the 18th time.
I've seen Star Wars about a dozen times.
17 times.
Star Wars, 22回見ました.
40 times, and it was great each time.
Altogether, we have seen Star Wars 324 times.
There were lines around the block.
We've been here for 6 days, and it's great!
Residents in LA were angry because people were peeing in their gardens. I mean, plants died to bring you this movie.
They kicked everyone in the ass, and no one thought it would do what it did, but what happened changed everything.
Coming up, Star Wars Mania.
Star Wars suddenly seeped into every aspect of our culture. It was everywhere, man. You couldn't escape it.
New C-3PO cereal from Kellogg's. Dramatic Star Wars drapes.
Look, it's the princess.
There was no way to assimilate it. It made the character Princess Leia famous, and I looked like her.
My anonymity was gone, like that.
And later, bondage and discipline.
We were really shocked to see Carrie's slave outfit. Because it was really sexy.
Because that was a metal bathing suit, it didn't adhere to the skin when you laid down. So if there was anyone back here, he could see all the way to Florida.
It didn't do a lot for 3PO, but as we know, he's not really into that kind of thing.
Next on When Star Wars Ruled the World.